What's up? What's up? What's up? Happy Monday, everyone. How you guys doing today? I hope you had a marvelous weekend. I am Jeremiah Davis, aka the Funding Coach, coming to you live with Business Funding Now. Where on every Monday I give you business funding tips, education, things of that nature, as well as business credit information as well. Um, if you don't know, I have been a loan broker for almost 15 years. I've been moving money in some shape, form, or fashion for the last nearly 20 years. And Business Funding Now is my loan brokerage and business credit company where I assist my clients as well as my affiliates with the business funding, business credit that they can offer their clients as well. Every Monday, we're going to give you some tips on how to access and deliver other funding products, business funding products, as well as business credit services. Today's topic is, sorry. Today's topic is what is UBF funding? UBF funding. This is not a common term, I don't think, but it is a very popular business funding product. Basically, UBF stands for unsecured business financing. Unsecured business financing, or UBF funding. When you say it like that, it kind of makes sense. Unsecured business financing funding, but we just call it UBF funding. And I'm going to share with you guys exactly what it is. Now, a lot of times this is interchanged with credit card stacking or loan stacking. I don't like to use those terms because it paints a inaccurate picture of what this funding actually type of funding actually is. And then there's just a lot of confusion out there about business funding, business credit, and UBF funding, or credit card stacking, or credit or business funding stacking, or just loan stacking in general. And it's, part of my mission is to give you the right information, the most accurate information, the most up-to-date information. Okay. And let me just put this out there. Obtaining credit or financing under false pretenses is a crime. You cannot, manufacture trade lines, lines of credit, things of that nature under false pretenses and secure funding from a federally backed bank or lending institution. If you are discovered, you could face criminal charges as well as jail. Okay, so be mindful of that. Okay, so you want to work with someone that does it the right way, the legal way, the ethical way, and charges a reasonable price. Okay. And a lot of people out there are offering this type of funding or credit card or loan stacking, and they're doing it the wrong way. And then, unbeknownst to you or to anyone else, they're charging these fees, but it could backfire on them. Okay, and the legal way to do this is by getting a limited power of attorney from a client to apply for credit and funding on their behalf. Okay, that's one part. Getting a signed limited power of attorney to assist a client in obtaining credit cards and loans. And then the second part to that is you have to disclose to the credit card company as well as the lending institution that you are applying on behalf of a third party. And then that credit card company or that lending institution will do a verification call with the client and getting a verbal authorization to work with you on their behalf. And you most likely will have to supply that limited power of attorney as well. Okay, so you want to make sure if you're applying for this type of financing that you ask these type of questions. Okay. Now, uh, the way we do it, well, let me just say we do it the right way. Okay. I use a different company, I outsource it, and um, I've had good results with them. Okay. But back to the UBF. Okay. I want to give you the accurate what it is, all the way, all the details, so you understand what UBF funding is, all right, or unsecured business financing is, and why it is a very viable loan or funding option for startups as well as existing businesses. If you don't have access to other funding options, this is a very good funding option. And when we get into it, you'll understand why. Okay. Um, so, okay. So typically, when you're applying for a credit card, you put an inquiry on your consumer report, right? You apply for a credit card, get an inquiry on your credit report. Simple. When other lenders see these inquiries, you're more likely to get uh, declined than approved, right? They don't like to see you having more than 2 to 4 inquiries in 3 to 6 months. Tells them that you're shopping around for money kind of desperately, and that makes these lending institutions and credit card companies sometimes nervous when you're doing that. The golden rule is no more than 4 inquiries in 6 months. That's the rule I go by. That's the rule I tell my affiliates to go by. I buy software individuals how to go by, because that's what the lenders and creditors go by. Okay, if they see more than 4 inquiries on a personal credit report in 6 months, you're most likely going to get declined for this type of funding. Okay, okay. So with UBF, you work with a lender who specializes as in securing credit cards. This is a very rare but very little known about program that few lenders offer. But here's the thing, that you can usually get 3 to 5 times your approval limits when you follow this protocol. This is because that they know the sources of the applications, that the orders to apply. We apply for the credit cards in a specific order. Usually, we're going to use any of the credit cards you currently have in your personal to apply for the business, right? And that's where you get the 3 to 5 times higher limits on a business card. That when you have, say, a $5,000 personal card, you can get anywhere from $15,000 to $25,000 in a business card from the same credit card company. Okay, so that gives you a lot more buying power immediately. Okay, now typically you're going to get probably 4 to 5 maybe of these cards um, that we're going to piggyback your personal credit for your business, right? They're going to be in your business name. They're not going to report to your personal credit. So you're not going to get an inquiry on your personal credit. This is important, okay? You need to follow along with me, right? So you make sure if you're working with someone that does this, that they're following the same kind of guidelines and protocols, okay? Now, there are some of these cards that you will get an inquiry, okay? Usually credit card companies aren't as strict on a number of inquiries as lenders are, as cash loans. If they see you with multiple inquiries, you're most likely to get declined from the cash than the credit card. That's what I'm saying. Okay. If you're following me, follow me closely. Okay. Now, and so imagine getting 3 to 5 business credit cards worth 3 to 5 times your personal limit. So 5,000 credit card turns into 15 to 25,000. 10,000 credit card uh, turns into 30 to $50,000. You see where I'm going? And these cards usually come with an introductory 0% interest rate, okay, for 6 to 18 months, or somewhere in there, 12 to 18 months, 6 to 18 months. After that introductory period, the rates go back to whatever you are approved for, or the terms and conditions of that credit card company, anywhere from 5 to 21%, maybe up to 20 to 29% for cash advances. Okay, and there is a method that you can use to remove the cash from the credit cards without inquiring the cash advance interest rate. All right, because the cash advance interest rate is usually pretty high. Like I said, it's in the 20% up to 30%. Sometimes it can be even more than 30%. So you want to make sure you look at that fine print on that credit card when you get it, that you know exactly what type of interest you're going to pay if you don't have it paid off before the introductory rate is completed. Okay, is everybody following me? You guys following me? I got any questions yet? Okay, no questions yet. Let me keep it moving. All right. Okay. So the lender can also get you a low introductory rate, typically zero, like I said, for 6 to 18 months. Um, you'll then pay a normal rates after that, typically 5 to 21% APR with a 25 to 29% APR for cash advances, like I just um, um, described to you. Now, approval limits will mimic that of your personal credit. Approvals usually range from $2,000 to $50,000. You'll usually get 3 to 5 cards. So that means you can get up to 5 times that of your highest credit limit account. Now, approvals can go up to $150,000 per entity, such as a corporation, right? You have to have a corporation. What determines that is if you've been in business for less than 2 years or more than 2 years. If you've been in business for less than 2 years, you're going to get a lower approval amount. If you've been in business more than 2 years, you're going to get a higher approval amount. Okay? And that basically says, well, you've been in business more than 2 years, then you pass that 1 year fail rate for most businesses. Okay? So that's kind of where that comes in. You must have excellent personal credit, preferably a 700 plus credit score. Okay? But the minimum credit score for this type of funding is a 680. So if you have a 680, all right, and you cannot have any derogatories on your credit report, can have, like I said, no more than 4 inquiries in 6 months, can have no lates, no judgments, things like that. If there's a bankruptcy, that's okay, but it needs to be discharged. Okay, so just keep that in mind. But if you got a repossession on there, you got a closed account or closed account that's charged off, that might influence your approval percentage. Okay, because some credit card companies will be okay with it, some are not. You got to keep in mind, individual credit card companies have their own criteria for approving these type of cards, or any type of card for that matter. Okay, um, you can easily multiply this, like I said, with the more. This gets complicated because there's no it can't be cookie cutter, because it all determines on your personal credit, what's on your personal credit, what type of cards you have, what the limits of those cards are, and things of that nature, right? How long you've been in business. So you got all these different factors that come into play. So I'm trying to stay away from like trying to give you some type of cookie cutter guarantee that this is going to happen. It's all subject to the credit card company and the individual's credit profile, personal credit profile. So you just got to keep that in mind. And what I'm giving you here are the standard practices or the minimum required to even qualify for this type of funding. But can you imagine having, $100,000, $150,000 in introductory business cards that are not reporting to your personal credit that you can use to finance your business? All right, whether it's a startup or whether it is a your startup or existing business. All right, but what's carrying you is your personal credit and your income. So you're going to have to disclose what your income is. Most of these companies will ask for pay stubs, bank statements, and tax returns so they can verify your income. Now, there are some that will do it on just your credit score, right? The common term is no doc, but there's really not such a thing as no doc. It's minimal doc than full doc. But when you're applying for that type of funding, you're not going to get as high approvals or limits because they're just basing it off your good credit score and they're not verifying completely all your income. Okay, so not that means the risk factor is higher, so they're not going to give you higher limits. They're going to give you lower limits. I hope that makes sense to everybody. Okay, so but at the end of the day, having a corporation just on the books doesn't necessarily mean that if you started an LLC 2 years ago and you make, say, $150,000 a year in your day job, or have another stream of income from the business that you're applying with, then you're going to get more approvals. The minimum income is $50,000 a year. So even if you're making $50,000 a year and you have, say, a 720, 750 credit score, you can potentially get up to $50, maybe $75,000 in combination of these type of credit cards. Okay, minimum credit score is a 680. All right, so now let me tell you some of the other criteria. Right, no more than 4 inquiries in the last 6 months. Minimum income of $50,000 a year. No derogatories on your credit score. Okay. And the other criteria is you must have at least one card with preferably minimum $500 limit, but preferably a $2,500 limit or higher, right? This is the highest card that you have in your personal name is what they're going to base these approvals off of. They're going to say, okay, it's got a personal card for $2,500. Then we're okay with giving him a business card of 3 to 5 times that personal card. All right. So the larger the personal card you have, the larger limits you get on these business cards. Now, these are PG'd, right? But they're still not reporting to your personal credit unless you default. If you default on these cards, then that is going to be reported as a derogatory on your personal credit. Okay. So that's what UBF funding is. UBF funding is using your good credit and your income to get these credit cards that you can use for business purposes, business startup, and business expansion, right? And depending on the size of the card, it can make larger purchases or smaller purchases. And remember, you got an introductory 0% interest rate for anywhere from 6 to 18 months. So if you can buy a $25,000 or $30,000 uh, 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 supplies, products, vehicles, what have you, with these type of credit cards and have that paid off within that introductory time frame, then you're basically getting free money, paying no interest on that money to finance your business. That is the cheapest money you can get, 0% interest. Okay, so but if you're going to do that, make sure you have a plan. Make sure you're working with somebody that knows how to liquidate the credit cards without incurring the cash advance interest rate. Okay, because the cash advance interest rate on credit cards is higher than a lot of other lease funding products. Okay, so you want to make sure you got a plan and a method. Now, here is the good part. All right, 2 things. I teach you this. I provide this information in the Business Funding Expert Certification course, so you can get that. Right, you can get the course and learn about this funding product as well as 30 other funding products or 29 other funding products within the software. Okay, in the course. I'm sorry, within the course. Also, for those who are using the Black Label CRM or thinking about using the Black Label CRM, you're also going to get once we add this new lending platform, which is coming any day now. Every time we complete a success scan and the client qualifies for that particular loan product or that funding product of the UBF funding, the software is going to pick out the top 10 cards business and personal, right? We have 244 business and personal credit cards in the software already. So, but the software is going to, based on the data entered, right, is going to pick the top 10 that the client should apply for. Then you can guide the client to those cards, apply for those cards. We're also going to make it so that you can do a one-click application to all the credit card companies at one time. This is kind of eliminating that middleman and the power of attorney and the verification call and all those things. This is the most legitimate way to do it by offering this and automating it for your clients. Okay, you definitely want to automate this, and then you can charge your percentage. Now, the industry average for UBF funding success fee is what we call it, is anywhere from 8, 9, up to 12 percent of the total amount. This is general. Some people might charge you 8, some people might charge you 9, some people might charge you 10, some people might charge you 12. There are people out there that even charge 15 to 20% a success fee. I think that's too high. I just don't agree with that. All right. I've charged typically anywhere from 10 to 12%. Okay. Now, the higher the limit goes, the less I charge, because I'm just want to be fair. I just want to treat people the way I want to be treated, and I don't want to be gouged, so I'm not going to gouge anyone else. But around 10%, 9.9% is the industry average, and I think that's a fair fee for obtaining this type of funding. All right, you're doing the work, you're doing the research, you're telling them how to do it, right? And you're assisting them walking through the program. So it's more like a consulting fee or success fee that you're charging for your services, right? But having it automated with the software is going to make it like clockwork. You know, the one-click application to 10 different credit card companies, and then usually these are online platforms where you get instant approvals with limits, okay? And knowing what the introductory time frame for that 0% interest rate for the 6 to 18-month period, okay? Usually, I very rarely I see anyone get a 6-month introduction rate. Most is 12 to 18 months. So um, these are the things you want to look at. These are the things you want to consider, and this is the research you want to do. Now, you can offer the service and as part of your coaching program, your sign up, and don't charge anything. It's an added value. It just depends on how you want to interact with your clients and how you want to be able to service this type. Right now, the other caveat to this is once you go through this type of funding, you're most likely not going to be able to go through another round of it for at least 12 months, right? Because now you got to take your DTI in consideration. Now, all right, and another criteria I forgot to tell you is that all your trade lines need to be a minimum under 40% utilization, and overall DTI under 40% as well. Okay, normally it's 45%, but due to the current environment of our economy, you need to have it under 42%. It's pretty much an unwritten rule that these creditors and lenders are doing right now because of the Fed increasing the interest rates. Those interest rates haven't come down yet. So to be on the safe side, I would highly, highly recommend that you have individual trade lines, revolving trade lines under 42% utilization, and overall DTI under 40% utilization as a minimum. All right. The lower you get it, the better you are. Okay. And then the introductory rate, making sure you understand exactly the introductory rate and when that introductory 0% introductory stops, and then it goes to the normal introduction normal interest rate. Okay. So with that being said, UBF funding is an option, and if you want to apply for that, contact me, schedule an appointment, and we will be happy to assist you in getting, maybe get 5 or 10 credit cards with an introductory rate that you can um, um, use to finance your business. All right. So UBF stands for unsecured business financing, right? Typically, mostly credit cards. Sometimes it can be cash as well. personal signature type loans. All right. But we want to make sure you get all these types of cards under your business name that you're going to PG, but it will not report to your personal credit. All right. Making sure you have less than 4 inquiries in 6 months, and that you have at least one trade line that with a $2,500 limit is a minimum I would recommend. All right, that is UBF funding, and remember, right? If you're affiliate, you can contact me. I can provide you with a link so you can offer this type of funding. If you're in software, be on the lookout for when the bidding platform comes in and the scans go through. You'll be able to offer this type within the software, the legal, legitimate way. All right, one-click application, 10 different credit cards. My name is Jeremiah Davis. I'm the funding coach. Peace.